I was staring at my calendar this morning, and I
Yeah.
have to be honest with you,
Why?
it looked like a kaleidoscope of chaos. Just, you know, blocks of color smashing into each other, blue for meetings, red for urgent calls,
The coffee catch-ups.
the green for coffee catch-ups that I don't even remember scheduling.
Yeah.
It feels like the modern badge of honor, doesn't it? Being busy.
Oh, it's the default setting for the 21st century. I mean, if you aren't busy, the assumption is that you're boring.
Or worse.
Or worse, that you're falling behind in the race.
Exactly. But amidst all that noise, it got me thinking about the one thing we seem to be actively sprinting away from, the A word, alone. When was the last time and I'm asking you listening too, when was the last time you were truly, completely alone?
No phone.
No phone, no podcast, no background TV, no just checking my email,
Yeah.
just you and the silence. And did you actually enjoy it?
That is a remarkably rare phenomenon these days. We live in a world that is, hyper-connected, yet the data shows we are facing a literal epidemic of loneliness. It's a total paradox.
It is. We've never been more connected, yet we have never felt more isolated. But here's the thing. There is a massive difference, a canyon, really, between the feeling of being lonely and the art of being alone.
And that distinction is exactly what we're digging into today. We've got a fascinating deep dive lined up.
Yeah.
We are unpacking insights from Renuka Gavrani's book, specifically looking at it through the lens of a summary from the Danish Kutub channel. And it explores a concept that I think is going to challenge how a lot of us view our downtime. It's about transforming that heavy feeling of loneliness into solitude.
Or what the source calls kulwat.
Kulwat.
It's a beautiful term.
Yeah.
And the mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We need to figure out why the idea of sitting in a room by ourselves freaks us out so much.
Right.
How to spot the difference between feeling lonely and practicing solitude, and ultimately, how to turn that alone time into a legitimate superpower.
Because let's be honest, for most of us, being alone feels less like a superpower and more like a punishment.
Oh, for sure. It really does. I mean, you put the average modern person in an empty room for 15 minutes with no device, their heart rate goes up, they start fidgeting. It feels like a timeout.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is our baseline reaction to our own company just panic?
Well, the source material argues that this discomfort isn't natural.
It's not our factory setting.
Exactly. You aren't born afraid of your own company. I mean, think about a baby or a toddler. They're perfectly happy playing with their toes or staring at a dust mote in a sunbeam.
Until they need something.
Until they get hungry, right. This fear of being alone is programmed.
So we've been, socially engineered to fear quiet time.
In a sense, yes. The source describes it as a social script. I mean, think about the narrative you've been fed since childhood. If a kid is playing alone in the sandbox, what do the well-meaning adults say?
Oh, go play with the other kids, or why is he sitting by himself?
Exactly. The script says, if you are alone, something is wrong.
It's equated with rejection.
It is. It's seen as a failure. We're taught that social value is determined by who is around you.
That hits home. The source brings up this specific visualization that I think everyone listening will recognize immediately. It's the school scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Picture a high school cafeteria. The noise, the clatter of trays, the click.
It's a high-stakes social environment.
The highest. Now, you see a girl walking down the corridor by herself. Or worse, she's eating lunch at a table with no one else there. What is the immediate reaction from the room? What's the feeling in the air?
It's the pity gaze.
Right. Oh, you poor thing, look.
And that gaze is powerful. The source emphasizes that we learn to internalize that gaze really early on. We see the girl alone and we assume she's unwanted, weak, or failing socially. We don't think.
Maybe she's thinking.
Maybe she's decomposing a complex math problem, or maybe she just needs a break from the drama to recharge. We default to. She has no friends.
And subconsciously, we tell ourselves, I must never be that girl. I must never be the one sitting at the empty table.
Precisely. We start to believe that our value is tied to who is sitting next to us.
If the seat's empty, we're empty.
If the seat is empty, we feel we are empty. We tie our self-worth to our proximity to other bodies. It's a survival mechanism in a social species, but in the modern world, it becomes a trap.
It's intense when you frame it like that, because the reality is she might be having a great time eating her sandwich in peace.
She might be perfectly content.
But it's the story we attach to the image that causes the pain.
And here is where the source makes a critical distinction, and I want everyone listening to really catch this because it flips the whole script.
Okay.
We aren't actually afraid of being alone.
Stick a pin in that. That sounds counterintuitive. If I'm alone, surely that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, let's run a thought experiment. If you were the last person on Earth, completely alone, nobody left to see you, would you feel socially awkward about eating dinner alone?
No. I mean, I'd be afraid of zombies or starvation, but I wouldn't be embarrassed. I'd probably be eating ice cream out of the carton with my hands.
Totally. Shameless.
Totally.
Precisely. You wouldn't feel the shame. So the fear isn't the state of aloneness.
It's the audience.
The fear is what other people will think when they see us alone. It's the fear of perception. The source points out those nagging internal voices.
Do people think I have no friends?
Am I falling behind in the race of life?
Mm-hmm.
We aren't running from solitude. We are running from the judgment we imagine is coming from everyone else.
Wow, that is a massive aha moment. We're performing for an audience even when we're trying to relax.
Yeah.
We're scrolling our phones at the coffee shop, not because we want to, but to look busy.
So no one thinks we're losers.
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism. We use the phone as a shield against the pity gaze. But if we can get past that fear of judgment, which is a huge hurdle, what's on the other side?
Because the source draws a pretty sharp line between loneliness and this idea of solitude.
They aren't synonyms.
They're usually used interchangeably, though.
Hmm.
I'm experiencing solitude sounds like something a poet says in a cabin.
Right.
While I'm lonely is what you tell your therapist.
The source uses two powerful metaphors to distinguish them: the cage and the home.
Okay, let's unpack the cage first. This represents loneliness.
Yes. Loneliness is described as an internal state, a mental prison. It comes from a place of deficiency,
A feeling of lack.
a feeling of lack. When you are stuck in the cage of loneliness, you feel incomplete. You're constantly looking outward, dependent on others to provide your happiness, your entertainment, your validation.
And the kicker is, you can be in this cage even when you're at a party surrounded by 50 people, right?
Absolutely. In fact, that's often when the cage feels smallest and the bars feel thickest.
Yeah.
Because the cage is built inside you. It's built on that need for external validation.
A hollowed out feeling.
It's that feeling of being hollowed out, waiting for someone else to pour into you.
Yeah.
If you are only happy when someone else is paying attention to you, you're a prisoner.
Right. You're outsourcing your emotional stability. And then on the flip side, we have solitude, or kulwat. This is the home.
Yes. Kulwat implies a state of intentional seclusion. Solitude is described not as a condition forced upon you, but as a luxury.
It's a choice.
It is a conscious choice. If loneliness is feeling like you lack something, solitude is the state of self-sufficiency. It is a sanctuary you build inside yourself where you connect with your own thoughts, your hobbies, your identity.
So to oversimplify, loneliness is I'm alone because nobody wants me, and solitude is I'm alone because I want to be with me.
That is the essence of it. The source calls it a home because it's a place of comfort. It isn't isolation or hiding from the world out of fear.
No.
It's deeply engaging with yourself. It's the difference between an empty room feeling like a holding cell versus feeling like a private studio or a laboratory where you can create.
I like that image. Building a home inside yourself. Because if you have a nice home inside, you don't mind spending a Friday night there. But let's be real. Moving from the cage to the home isn't exactly like flipping a light switch.
Not at all.
You don't just decide, okay, I love solitude now. The source mentions that there's a pretty big barrier standing in the way.
The biggest barrier. And it's something we deal with every single day, the noise.
The noise. And we're not just talking about traffic and construction, are
No,
we?
we're talking about the noise we invite in. Think about it. Why do people crave crowds? Why do we immediately pull out our phones the second we're alone in an elevator?
Why do we listen to podcasts?
Even this one. While doing the dishes or walking the dog.
Hey, careful now. We need the listeners.
It's fine to listen to learn, but the source argues that often we use external noise, social media, music, chatter, to drown out the internal voice.
We are terrified of our own thoughts.
Yes.
Guilty as charged. It's like if I stop moving or stop consuming content, my brain might actually start asking me difficult questions.
Like, are you happy?
Or, what are you doing with your life? Or, remember that embarrassing thing you did in 2014?
And who wants to deal with that on a Tuesday afternoon?
Exactly. Better to just watch a 15-second cat video and numb it out.
But the source warns that there is a severe consequence to this constant distraction.
Which is?
By drowning out that noise, we lose our authentic voice. We end up living a life based entirely on other people's expectations because we never sit still long enough to figure out what we actually want.
We become strangers to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually kind of terrifying. Waking up at 50 and realizing you lived a life scripted by algorithms and peer pressure because you were too afraid to sit in silence.
Right.
So what's the fix? The source gives a prescription for this, but I have to warn you, it sounds simple, but it sounds excruciatingly hard.
It is the hardest first step, sitting in silence.
Sitting. No meditation app, no guided breathing.
The sitting. But here is the nuance that makes it actionable. You aren't trying to empty your mind like a Zen monk on a mountaintop. You aren't trying to suppress the thoughts.
Okay.
The source advises acting as a witness.
A witness? Okay, what does that look like practically?
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my couch, staring at the wall. My brain starts screaming about emails I haven't sent.
Yep.
What do I do?
You watch the scream. You don't engage with it. You don't judge it. You just observe it. Oh, there is a thought about emails. Interesting. Oh, there is a feeling of anxiety about my relationship. Interesting. You let the thoughts flow like traffic on a highway. You're on the sidewalk watching the cars go by, not jumping in front of them trying to stop them.
That creates a bit of distance.
Ooh.
You aren't your thoughts. You're the person listening to them.
Exactly. And if you do this long enough, you might find buried fears, old desires, forgotten dreams. They're all in there, buried under the noise of Spotify and Instagram. The goal isn't to fix them immediately. The goal is just to acknowledge they exist. It's about building a relationship with the person you spend the most time with yourself.
We spend 20/47 with ourselves, yet we treat ourselves like that annoying roommate we're trying to avoid in the hallway.
We pretend we aren't home. Precisely. And once you stop avoiding that roommate, once you make friends with solitude, the source argues that you unlock a legitimate superpower.
Let's talk about the benefits. Because if I'm going to sit in silence and face my existential dread, I want a reward at the end. What's the payoff?
Well, let's look at history. The source points out that almost all of history's great inventors, artists, and thinkers were practitioners of solitude.
Right.
They didn't come up with world-changing ideas while constantly chatting at a cocktail party. They required withdrawal from the world to do deep work.
You don't write a novel or invent the light bulb while checking your notifications every 30 seconds.
And that brings us to the modern context. The source explicitly mentions the digital age. In a world where our attention is fractured by constant pings and buzzes, the ability to sit alone, focus, and think deeply has become a rare luxury.
It's competitive advantage.
A huge one.
It really is.
Yeah.
If you can focus for 4 hours straight without needing external stimulation, you're basically a wizard in the modern economy.
Everyone else is fragmenting their brain power into tiny little useless shards. Solitude provides creativity, intense focus, and mental resilience. When you are no longer dependent on the external world for your stability, you become unshakable. You have that home inside you to retreat to no matter what chaos is happening outside.
So if the internet goes down, or you lose your job,
Or a relationship ends, you are still okay because you are still with you.
okay, I'm sold on the why. I want the superpower. I want the mental fortress. But I need the how.
The practical steps.
Yes. The source provides some actionable advice on how to actually build this home of solitude. Because if I just sit there, I'm going to get bored. And boredom is the enemy.
Actually, boredom is the gateway, but that's a topic for another day. The source suggests a mindset shift. The blank canvas.
Meaning what?
Instead of seeing alone time as a void or an empty space that needs to be filled with distraction, treat it as a blank canvas for your own growth.
Free real estate and time. And what do we paint on this canvas? The source outlines 3 specific pillars to fill this time effectively, so we aren't just staring at the wall until we go crazy.
Right. The first pillar is joy. And this is tricky because we often confuse joy with numbing.
Oh, good point.
Scrolling TikTok might feel good in the moment, but it's numbing. Joy is active. Do things that genuinely make you feel good, not things that look good on Instagram.
So not baking sourdough bread just to post a picture of it, but baking it because you actually like the tactile feeling of the dough.
Exactly. Or painting, or gardening, or listening to an album from start to finish, whatever brings authentic joy to you. The second pillar is skills.
Challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself to learn something new. Solitude is the perfect time for skill acquisition because you have no distractions and no one watching you fail.
That's a big one. Learning French is embarrassing in front of people. Learning French alone in your living room is liberation. You can butcher the accent all you want.
And the third,
What's number 3?
nutrition for the mind. This means consuming high-quality content, reading complex books, listening to deep dive analyses
Right.
that enrich your understanding of the world. It's about feeding your brain rather than just giving it candy. It's about constructing a worldview that is yours, not one that was algorithmically fed to you.
So joy, skills, and mind nutrition. That covers the what to do. But then the source throws down the gauntlet.
Oh,
The ultimate challenge. The concept of dating yourself.
This is my favorite part of the source's advice because it makes so many people physically uncomfortable.
I believe it.
The advice is to take the things you were saving for others, special occasions, date nights, and do them alone.
Give us the examples, because this is where people get sweaty palms.
Going to a nice restaurant, sitting at a table for one and ordering a full meal.
Oof.
Or going to a movie theater alone to watch a film on opening night.
The movie one I can do. It's dark, nobody's talking anyway. But the restaurant one,
Yeah.
that is the final boss level for me.
Right.
Walking in, saying table for one, and just sitting there.
Yeah.
Without scrolling on my phone.
Without the phone. That's the key. If you bring the phone, you're just in the cage again.
That takes guts. You feel exposed. You feel like everyone is looking at you thinking, did he get stood up? Is he weird?
It does take guts, but think about why it takes guts. It goes back to the beginning. The fear of the pity gaze.
It's a rebellion.
Doing this is an act of rebellion against that social script. The goal, according to the source, is to reach a point where you take full responsibility for your own happiness.
You stop waiting. You stop waiting for a partner or a friend or a group to give you permission to live your life.
Correct. If you want to try that new Italian place, you go. You don't wait for a date. When you can enjoy a meal alone as much as you enjoy it with others, you are no longer needy.
You're self-fulfilled.
You filled your own cup.
And that has to change everything for your relationships too, doesn't it?
Completely. You enter relationships because you want to share your happiness, not because you need someone to create it for you. You aren't extracting value from people. You're bringing a full cup to the table. You become a person of value because you know your own value.
That is such a powerful shift. It turns you from a beggar into a benefactor in your social life.
Exactly.
So let's recap this journey. We've gone from the fear of the school cafeteria, the social script that says alone equals failure, to the freedom of the solo dinner date.
It's a journey from perception to self-sufficiency.
It is.
And it's important to remember, this isn't about becoming a hermit. The source isn't saying cancel your friends or break up with your partner.
No.
It's about anchoring yourself so that when you do engage with society, you are doing it on your own terms. You aren't running away from the world. You are stepping back to gather strength so you can engage better.
It reminds me of that quote the source uses near the end. It's a bit of a riddle, but it sums this whole thing up perfectly.
Yes, the quote is, "The bad news is that you are alone. The good news is that you are alone."
I love that. It's the same fact viewed from two different angles.
It illustrates that being alone is a single coin with two sides. One side is fear, isolation, that cage we talked about. The other side is freedom, creativity, and the home of solitude. The circumstancing alone doesn't change.
The only thing that changes,
It is which side of the coin you choose to look at.
and that choice is entirely ours. We can choose to see the void, or we can choose to see the blank canvas.
And honestly, in a world that is constantly trying to tell us who we should be, that blank canvas is the most valuable real estate we own. It's the only place where we can genuinely be ourselves.
Without performance, without filters, absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's a thought to leave you with. We talked about dating yourself. This week, look at your calendar, that kaleidoscope of chaos, and carve out 1 hour. Just one.
Just one.
Not for work, not for chores, not for scrolling, but to go do something you love, completely by yourself.
And leave the phone in the other room. Or better yet, leave it at home.
Treat it like an appointment you can't cancel. Go to that coffee shop, sit there, drink your coffee, and just be. See if you can turn that bad news into good news.
It might be the most important appointment of your week.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.